We're a week into the search for Leon Rose to find the next head coach of the New York Knicks, and it's very obvious that Leon Rose wants to hire Jason Kidd, but new reports are coming out that Jason Kidd, he wants to be the coach of the New York Knicks. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because when the Knicks hire a coach, we're going to go live on this channel, and we're almost at our goal of 77,000 subscribers. If you love the Knicks, and you're not subscribed, and you want multiple free videos every single day, hit that big red sub button right now. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's dive into it. My guy, Scoopy Robinson, saying this on Twitter. From a trusted source, Jason Kidd wants that job. Talking about the New York Knicks. When a team doesn't shut down an interview request, it usually means the coach wants out. The Rockets shut it down with Ime Udoka immediately. The Mavericks haven't said a word about Jason Kidd in the New York Knicks. And I thought it's been interesting that the Mavs have not said a word, despite reports coming out the Knicks want Jason Kidd, and the Knicks are going to submit a request to interview Jason Kidd. And Nico Harrison and the Mavs have been silent. So Scoopy was the first on it, saying Jason Kidd wants that job. And then Brian Windhorst said this on ESPN, there's mutual intrigue on both sides. So here we go. Leon Rose wants Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd wants the Knicks. Is it going to happen? The New York Post also doubling down on what Scoopy Robinson said, saying the interest between Jason Kidd and the Knicks is mutual. So that's three people now saying that there is intrigue, at a minimum, on both sides of both parties wanting to come together. Mark Stein, who has really been all over this story since Jump Street, saying the Knicks' interest in and fondness for Jason Kidd is undeniable. Brian Windhorst also adding the Knicks absolutely would like to hire Jason Kidd to be their next head coach. The question is, will the Dallas Mavericks allow that? And there's a couple different ways that this could unfold. One, the New York Knicks would have to trade for Jason Kidd. Funny enough, Jason Kidd has been traded before, not only in his playing career, but also his coaching career. Or the Dallas Mavericks and Jason Kidd could agree to part ways. Or Jason Kidd resigns as the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. Only a couple of ways for that to go down. I do want to give a major shout out to Big Nick Energy. They were first on it back on June 5th, saying our sources confirm Jason Kidd is at the top of Leon Rose's list for the next head coach of the New York Knicks. They also said back on June 5th that Jason Kidd has interest in the Knicks job. 5 days later, the big dogs, Brian Windhorst, Scoopy Robinson, and the other national insiders that cover the NBA are following what they had to say, which is Kidd wants the Knicks, and the Knicks, they want Jason Kidd. Before we dive deeper on today's show, I just want to ask the question, should the Knicks hire Jason Kidd? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I thought it was interesting that Brian Windhorst said the New York Knicks don't even need to interview Jason Kidd. They would just hire him. That tells you how much they are, in fact, in love with the idea of him being the first Tom Thibodeau replacement. Coming up next, I want to quickly go over some pros and cons of the Knicks hiring Kidd as the next head coach of this organization. First, though, I want to give a major shout out to our proud sponsor, Factor. Shout out to Factor Meals for sponsoring Knicks Now by Chat Sports. And because they are real ones, they are giving our real ones a major code to use. When you use the code KnicksChat50 off, you get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. Summer is here, which means more sun and more daylight. More time to do all the things that make summer so special. And the number one thing you don't want to be doing all summer is spending hours cooking inside the house. That's where Factor comes in. Factor chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals are ready in just 2 minutes, taking the hassle out of eating well. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any lifestyle over summer and beyond. Factor powers your day, sun up to sundown, with nutritious breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. Factor has your whole day covered. Enjoy more this summer. Get Factor if you want all the flavor and none of the fuss. I'm someone that has a pretty busy lifestyle. I'm trying to place a greater importance on my health and the food I put in my body, and Factor helps me do that when it comes to a timely manner as well as being healthy. I'm a big fan of Factor, and you should get hooked up with them as well. Get started at factormeals.com/KnicksChat50 off and use code KnicksChat50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code KnicksChat50 off at factormeals.com/KnicksChat50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. That link will be clickable down in the comments and description of today's video. All righty, let's go over some pros of hiring Jason Kidd. And we'll just start with the most obvious one. The Knicks have liked Jason Kidd as a head coach for a while. Going back to the 2020 coaching search when the New York Knicks did hire Tom Thibodeau, Jason Kidd finished as the runner-up in that search. So he clearly did enough to separate himself from the pack. Unfortunately, not enough to get the job, but he left the Knicks with a solid feeling of who he is and what he could be at the coach, and they clearly like him. He also has a great relationship with the face and the most important person in this organization. That is Jalen Brunson. Brunson said on his podcast, The Roommate Show, that his second favorite coach he has ever played with has been Jason Kidd. I remember there was a video that went viral a couple of years ago where Jason Kidd talked about his number one job when coaching Brunson was to get him paid. And he did get him paid, just not in Dallas with the New York Knicks. Shout out to you, Mark Cuban. Also, the playoff success for Jason Kidd could not be ignored. They got to the Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago where they lost to the Golden State Warriors, the team that went on to win the NBA Finals. You also have the Dallas Mavericks, who just got to the NBA Finals last year where they lost to the Boston Celtics. So he's been to the finals, and he's went to the Western Conference Finals another time, 2 times in what has been, 4 or 5 years as the head coach for the Dallas Mavericks. I also think he's done a good job of maximizing his rosters. Look, you had Luka Doncic as your best player. What does he have? 5 first-team All-NBAs, 5 All-NBA selections in the early part of his career. He's been equipped with one of the best players in modern NBA history. But he's also, I thought, got the most out of his team. He got a team whose second-best player was Jalen Brunson back 3-4 years ago to the Western Conference Finals. He also got a team last year in the first year of Kyrie Irving, paired with Luka Doncic, to the NBA Finals. He got the most out of P.J. Washington. He found a way to maximize P.J. Washington. He did a good job of working in Daniel Gafford into that lineup, and we've seen other players in the Dallas Mavericks scheme with Jason Kidd have nice success. He also has a really strong connection with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I'm not going to put this idea, thought, story, what I've been told to bed, because I still believe, just like I've been told, the number one plan is to hire Jason Kidd and then get Giannis, even if people are telling me Giannis isn't available for being traded. But on top of that, he has a lot of great relationships, and he is a coach that is someone that relies on relationships. The relationship he had with Luka Doncic was big. The relationship he had with Kyrie Irving, the one he grew with Anthony Davis. He is a relationship type of guy, and I think that's always important when you're the head coach of any team, specifically the New York Knicks. He's a really good coach. Is he a great coach? I don't know. I know for sure he's not a perfect coach, and I don't even know if he's the perfect head coach for the New York Knicks. Some cons of hiring Jason Kidd, in my opinion: he runs a similar offense to Tom Thibodeau does, which is not a lot of structure and a lot of ISO ball and a lot of, we're going to give the ball to our best ball-handling guard, and he's going to figure it out. He did it with Luka. He did it with Kyrie. And the Knicks did it with Jalen Brunson. Not saying it's the worst idea in the world to give Jalen Brunson the ball and let him have the keys of the offense, but the facts are the facts. The Dallas Mavericks under Jason Kidd are one of the most heavy ISO teams in the half court in the NBA. I also wonder if he can unlock a guy like Karl Anthony Towns. He hasn't really, one, been given that opportunity, but two, done it as a head coach. We haven't seen him run a 5-out offense before. We haven't seen him take a big man's offensive game to another level. And I kind of believe if you're going to roll with Cat, you probably want a coach that's going to be able to maximize him and what he could do on the offensive end. I talked to my guy, Jeffrey Cooperstein, who's been a lifelong Mavs fan. He covers the Dallas Mavericks for us here at Chat Sports. And I asked him, what do you think are some cons of Jason Kidd? And he said his rotations are questionable at time. And sometimes you kind of get the feeling that he's just throwing things at the wall and hoping they would stick, which can be a little bit better than what the Knicks had, because while the rotations were questionable for Tom Thibodeau, he just ran the same ones over and over and over again. There is a willingness to try new things for Jason Kidd, and maybe sometimes he does that a little bit too much, where people will describe it as throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks. What stinks is his late game execution. That's what Jeffrey Cooperstein told me. A lot of the time it was just, Luka, here's the keys. There's the car. Take us home. Kyrie, here's the keys. There's the car. Take us home. And look, what are you supposed to do? Not let Kyrie Irving have the ball in the clutch? Not have Luka Doncic have the ball in the clutch? Late game execution was something that Coop told me he didn't think was the best strong suit for Jason Kidd, which I don't love. To be honest, I like Jason Kidd as a head coach. I don't love Jason Kidd as a head coach. He's not the perfect coach either, in my opinion, for the New York Knicks. Question is there a head coach out there that is perfect for the Knicks? I don't know. I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I don't get paid to sit down and watch film for hours on hours on hours on end and talk to these guys and have conversations with people they've worked with. But Jace, just based off of what I have seen, the advanced analytics I've digested, and people I've talked to, I don't necessarily think he's the best head coach for the New York Knicks. And the reason I feel that way is because if the Knicks are going to attack the future with Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns as their 1-2 punch, they need a coach that can take that two-man game to the next level. You need a head coach that can take this offense to new heights. When you have two players like Brunson and Cat, the positives are obvious. You're going to be a really good offensive team. The negatives are obvious as well. You're not going to be that strong of a defensive team. And when you have the opportunity to put two elite offensive players like Brunson and Towns together, you double and triple down on that. You go all in on trying to create the best offense possible. You don't do a half measure of it and try to build up the other weaknesses around them. You go all in. If the Knicks want to win a championship with Brunson and Cat, I believe they need to have the best offense in the NBA. My question is, can Jason Kidd get them to that level? He's known as a defensive coach. He's known as a guy that's been able to get the most out of some of these role players. Nobody has ever called Jason Kidd an offensive genius. My question to you is this. Who do you want the New York Knicks to hire? Is it Jason Kidd? Is it Johnny Bryant? Is it somebody else out there? We're really only hearing smoke around Jason Kidd at this point. Give me a name of who you want to be the next head coach of this team. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up. Hit that thumbs up icon on your way out if you could. Please subscribe to the channel. And let's go Knicks.